But honestly, man, I've been so excited to talk about books and the power of reading because I am a newcomer to it. Yeah, this shows I am case study number one. Like, don't ask my mum. I'm not gonna put her details in, but like, she would tell you, man, the aversion I had for reading for so long was so strong and probably quite irritating for someone that is quite well read like my mother. But honestly, man, why did I fight it? I did, I really did. And I say it to some of the 16-year-olds I work with, like, if I say this to you, a lot of you lot are going to be like,
What are you talking about? I'm not doing that.
man,
That's
like,
boring.
I just want to go on my phone and play my Xbox. That's the response we get. Of course it is.
Yeah.
The power of reading is huge, man. It is massive. It helps with our sleep. It helps us sort of calm down our sort of worry system, our nervous system. It helps us, our imagination, our creativity, all these things that we want to strengthen and grow and harness.
Yeah.
Our individuality. It's a wonderfully powerful, amazing thing. And I'm so deeply in love with it. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
Hello, and welcome back to AYP Spike. I'm Adam, and I'm joined today by the fantastic Andy Feast, as always. We never script these intro bits, so I have no idea what we're going to say right now. But we've had another lovely week in our lots of primary school visits.
Yes,
It's been
yes,
excellent.
sir.
Lots
Yes,
of the
sir.
final sessions with lots of these schools before we go and coach in now early January. It's kind of crazy that it's late November, and we're now
Yeah.
talking about next year already. That's where we just started doing these, schools in early October kind of thing. Now it's now we've finished up. Madness.
Yeah.
Madness.
Yeah, no, it's been very full on, hasn't it? It's been very full on. Very positive. Loads of interesting conversations with teachers, Senkos, loads of interesting work with our clients and the kids. It's been wonderful. It's been really wonderful. It's
You
been
know what else is wonderful? Your new beard. Or
Oh,
lack thereof. See?
lack thereof.
Lack
yeah,
thereof.
to be cussed out by a year three was a bit tough, I won't lie to you.
There was a year 3 kid in one of our sessions on Wednesday. it's just it's a hands up session. So like suggest ideas, we ask questions, and they put their hands up sometimes. And he had 2 things to say, didn't he? He answered the question you asked. It was like, it's, I don't know, neuroplasticity or whatever the question was. And then he was like, "Did you shave your beard?"
I just thought, you observant little legend, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, he was at the back of the room as well.
Yeah,
so it's
man,
pretty
that was-
noticeable. I like
That
it.
shows that we're rememberable, you know? They're remembering us and they
Although-
always shout, brain guys, you're the brain guys.
They do think your name's Patrick and my name's Bob.
Yeah,
So-
I think that's you pandered to that a little bit.
I do,
so
but I do think
I do blame you a bit.
listeners, come and look at the show on YouTube. Come watch on YouTube. Doesn't he look like a Patrick? I think that's pretty good. I don't think I look like a Robert. I think that's a bit poor, honestly, as a name. But I think Patrick is pretty good. I don't know. Let us know what you think. Let us know in the comments below. What do you think Andy's alternate name is? I reckon Patrick's pretty good.
I think Andy suits me, you know.
I think Andy suits you
I think
great.
Andy's
I think
there.
it's a strong, good name. Well done. Well done, your mum and your dad. Good name,
Pass the
good
message
choice.
on.
And I know they listen, so well done.
They do, they
shout
do.
out to your parents.
But just to bore you with the beard, that was my missus doing that. That was
Just
with
assaulted
the
you with a
nose
razor.
hair trimmer
A nose hair
on
trimmer.
the beard. Yeah,
That's strong. I
I
like
thought
that.
it would work, and she's just scalped me.
But
pretty
to be
much.
fair though, you also have no nose hair. So
There you
that's
go.
good.
There you go. Happy days. Not that anyone can see it. No, I'm not tall enough for that, but yeah. So it's been very good. It's been very positive. We got every single session we do, every single workshop, bit of coaching, 1-to-1 pod we do. It feels so impactful, and I think the kids get so much out of it. And
Yeah.
I think the feedback we've had is fantastic, and you know, just the cooperation with schools we're having, the conversations we're opening, that sort of open dialogue and lines of communication that we're growing is a wonderful thing, and I think
sure.
it's needed. It's needed. The need for this work is everywhere. You know, it just shows from geographical locations where we are.
Yeah.
Sussex, and we're in, you know, Bexley Heath and Welling and all these sorts of areas. We're all over the place, so it's great.
For sure. It reminds me, not to toot our own horn too much, or what's the phrase?
Toot your own horn.
To
Yeah.
blow my own trumpet, that
There you
kind of
go.
thing. That phrase, not to do that too much, but
Yeah.
I do, every time I'm in primary school, I do think like, we were in our primary school again this week, and we're in our primary school again next week. The day after you're listening to this, if you're listening on Monday,
Yeah.
we're back. And the idea that like, I kind of wish that we had this in our primary schools when we were in primary school. 'cause
Yeah.
discovering this stuff later on, I just, the earlier you know this stuff, hopefully the earlier you can kind of action it. because
Definitely.
this idea of neuroplasticity, the later that you maybe realize that you can kind of take control
Yeah.
of some of these aspects of your life, you have more of a battle against this already pre-existing architecture that you built up over years and years. But kids are not blank slates. There's obviously a lot going on already. There's a lot of, adolescents growing up, all that stuff, especially as the older kids. But it's easier to start to, if you start these habits early, you have them later on. You don't have to then get to a really difficult position and then start building them in later on. It's just really helpful going forward. And that's part of the message is like, you may not need this right now, but you will in the future. So build it now and you'll have it for then.
Because there's so many adults that don't understand, that aren't trying to understand this stuff because, it's not a widely spoken about topic. It's not a widely discussed need, but the reality is there is a need for it.
Yeah.
The amount of teachers and support staff that have watched the sessions or even sat in some of our one-to-ones just to support some of the kids have said, I'm going to take some of that.
Yeah. Well,
We're
teachers
speaking
often
about-
are like something like, oh, I've learned a lot from this.
100%.
So hopefully, I think that's the kids as well. But
Yeah, that's spot on.
But
But yeah, it shows that there's a need for this for everyone. Like it's not isolating, it's not discriminatory. It's literally for every single person.
that's the unique thing we're doing because it is everyone has a brain. Everyone's brains, whilst they're beautifully different and diverse, they also do work in
commonalities,
fundamentally
don't they? Yeah.
similar ways. So this does apply to you, listener, as well. This is cool. And speaking of building in skills and good developments, what a segue that was. I
Beautiful.
was just say so myself. Again,
Beautiful.
I'm tooting my own trumpet all day today. We are going to talk today. We talked about last week, maybe a more concerning part of our neurochemistry, worry system, and how powerful it can be and how upsetting that can be as a product of it. And, these buckets of worry and how to manage them. Check last week's episode for that conversation. So this week we thought, let's do something a bit more positive, a happy thing, a really, just overtly positive thing for your brain, which is going to be how to strengthen your neocortex. Okay, so regular listeners will know a little bit more about the neocortex by now, but let's break it down real quick. Neocortex is neo because it's the newest part of the brain, even though it's evolved for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's also the part of our brain that makes us distinguished from animals. Okay, not because they don't have one. It's the size of our neocortex relative to our size as animals, right? So, for example, a blue whale has a bigger neocortex than humans do because it's a blue whale, but as a proportion of the whale's brain, their neocortex is percentage smaller than our neocortex is for the size of us as animals, okay? So the neocortex is amazing. It's my favourite part of the brain, and I have favourite parts of the brain because I'm that kind of nerd, okay? So what this neocortex allows us to do things like executive function, manage our emotions, manage our worry system, executive control, all this stuff. We call this metacognition. It's the idea that you can sit above the everyday processes, the moment-to-moment processes of your brain and the reactions and the emotions, all that stuff. Notice what's happening and crucially, do something about it. So this is your neocortex. If you strengthen this skill, this ability, you are able to do these things. And we're going to talk today about a couple of ways that you can just strengthen that part of your brain in order to, in future, be able to manage your worry system better, in order to be able to be more patient with things. All that stuff happens in our neocortex. So I want to talk a couple of ways about how we strengthen that today.
Beautiful. Eloquently explained, I must add. So, yeah, so this is basically the part of the brain, because this is something I have to try and wrap my head around every single week. And Adam, as being our, very knowledgeable on this subject, I love asking him questions. He'll tell you on the car journeys on the way. Adam, what's going on here, man? What is going on?
Often.
What are we actually talking about? I ain't got a clue, man.
Often. That's not true. Also, often I'm just telling you, you're not asking for the question. I'm just
Maybe
going.
that is a slight better version of the truth. But there we go.
It's like 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. I'm like, Andy, did you know this?
I love it, man. No, that's
Andy,
great.
did you know this?
But let's just iron some things out just for myself and just for the listener, because as I said, your ability to explain this stuff is wonderful. So
No pressure then.
just with the sort of neocortex, so that is basically to strip it back in the most simplistic way we can describe it. It is the place in the brain where we can develop the skills that we need to be successful, happy adults.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. I think obviously it's...
That's an oversimplification, of course.
Yeah. I think that in terms of if you're defining those skills as kind of like patience, understanding, not being ruled by your emotions, not being trapped in your worry system. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So basically the place where we can, try and understand, and I think awareness and scoping out our own thoughts and feelings, because a lot of us have an inability to understand why we feel the way we do.
Yes.
What are the external things that have happened to us that have made us
right.
feel the way we feel? And what are our innate sort of makeup that are making us feel these things and respond in certain ways.
Yes.
Understanding we can change and adapt those things. I always say that every session, but I love it. So yeah, we can change it. We can change and adapt those things. So yeah, what a powerful part of the brain, man. And
it's
let's
cool
talk
as
about
hell.
how
It's
we can
cool as hell.
sort this stuff out and how we can improve it and build upon it.
It's reading, right? So, Andy's so excited about reading. He's even got a prop. He's just, for the audio listeners, he's showing, is that Order of the Phoenix? And of course, Order of is that the biggest book, I think?
It is. It is the
biggest
heftiest book. I am
It's
probably
massive
about a
book.
third through.
Look at that.
I read a chapter a night. This is about 20, 25 pages.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Oh, well
That's
done.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it takes me about half an hour.
Yeah,
I don't know if
that's
that's
quite right.
as a rate of reading is probably
I think
quite
that's
slow.
I think that's about average, actually. I think
But listen, the words are really small, man.
they
so
are actually really small, yeah.
It takes a couple of pages for me to adjust to
Yeah.
the size of the font. But I'm on the chapter about Professor Umbridge.
Nice. Spoilers.
Spoilers. She's lovely. She's great.
We love Professor. Yeah, she's a great teacher. She's definitely not a mean writing words into people's skin or
She
anything.
needs this work that we do. Come on, Professor.
Professor Umbridge, if you're listening, get in contact.
But honestly, man, I've been so excited to talk about books and the power of reading because I am a newcomer to it. This shows I am case study number one. Like, don't ask my mum. I'm not going to put her details in, but like, she would tell you, man, the aversion I had for reading for so long was so strong and probably quite irritating for someone that is quite well read like my mother. But honestly, man, why did I fight it? I did. I really did. And I say it to some of the 16-year-olds I work with, like, if I say this to you, a lot of you lot are going to be like,
What are you talking about? I'm not doing that.
man,
That's
like,
boring.
I just want to go on my phone and play my Xbox. That's the response we get. Of course it is.
Yeah.
The power of reading is huge, man. It is massive. It helps with our sleep. It helps us sort of calm down our sort of worry system, our nervous system. It helps us, our imagination, our creativity, all these things that we want to strengthen and grow and harness.
Yeah.
Our individuality. It's a wonderfully powerful, amazing thing. And I'm so deeply in love with it. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
It's excellent. No, reading is fantastic, and I think that I think I mentioned this before that I have always liked reading. I've always really enjoyed reading. And I think there's part of it is a generational thing. Obviously, I think our parents probably read more than maybe we did when we were at school. But I think now, when we were in school, phones were a thing, but they weren't really a thing.
We were just on the sort of fringes of like.
By the time we were in secondary
Yeah.
school, everyone was starting to get a phone. But when we were in primary
I
school,
think I had a BlackBerry in year 8.
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah, I had a really, really terrible phone in Year 8 as well, I think. Stuff like that. But you didn't have smartphones yet. So you had Xboxes at home and Wii's at home, but you never had the so what you did a lot is read. You just read. That was your kind of entertainment, and I think so. It was a bit more normalized to like read in schools, and that was a kind of entertainment thing. I think maybe now, which we'll get into in a little bit, like people aren't as into reading because there are more
Stimulating,
quote unquote
maybe.
entertaining things to do, but things that activate your attention span in maybe negative ways in terms of shortening it and stuff like that. But no, reading was always something I was really, really into. I remember the first time I can't remember the name of the books now, but in primary school I remember it so clearly. There was a book I literally picked it up on like a Wednesday, and I started reading it we had like a reading time or something like that.
Got
Like
another bit of reading time.
In the middle of the afternoon, it was like half an hour. Just everyone gets a book and out of the little library and reads it. It's fantastic.
Do you know what? I think that the way that primary schools handle reading is so positive that I think that there is
The different
lessons to
levels
be
of book
learned
as
for
well.
secondary. I don't
I
remember in secondary school, maybe not necessarily being encouraged, maybe that's the wrong word, because teachers would obviously understand the importance of reading, but like maybe there was no set, like even in form time or tutor time, whatever you call it, there was never like, if you ain't doing nothing, go and read for 25 minutes. That was never sort of a conversation we had. There was never any set time. You know, obviously you read in English and you try and dissect text, and that's obviously, I think to some extent that can sort of kill some of these kids' love for it, because power of association is so strong, and they just associate reading with being in class and work, and that's like, it's almost like you talk to them and they're so aghast and appalled by your suggestion of reading. They're like, you kind of want me to do like homework
it's
before
like
I
saying,
get to
like,
bed.
do maths at home. For
Exactly.
fun. That's what it might feel like for some people.
100%, and that's
but,
exactly what they feel like, man. And I think that's not everyone, of course. That's a sweeping generalisation there, but a lot of the students we work with do present that sort of view, and you can sort of understand why. But trying to understand, as you're going to explain, how it strengthens our neocortex in such a way that is beneficial for our level of success in life.
No, for sure.
And that doesn't mean you read, you're going to be successful. It doesn't mean that, but it just means you're building, developing the skills to be able to be successful and,
No,
and
exactly.
more importantly, be happy in your life.
For sure. And it's like, I just remember the first time I couldn't put a book down. I was too into it. It was amazing. I remember that. I can't remember the name of the book now. I remember it was a green covered, it had a green cover on it. That's all I remember. I just literally couldn't put it down.
Was it Spider-Man Chronicles?
It wasn't Spider.
Oh.
I always found them a bit too scary. Actually, I couldn't read them. But
Couldn't laugh.
those books and the Goosebumps ones, I couldn't read them. Didn't like them. They were too scary. For me.
Jack Black adaptation film. Yeah, I never
too
read
scary
those
for
as a
me.
kid.
But I just remember, I remember going home. I started reading this in this reading time, and I went home, and I just couldn't sleep because I was too into the book. I just read the whole thing. So I think genuinely by the next day, I went back in and I put it back. And obviously, I was a kid, so it was a massive book for me. But it's probably only 150 pages or something like that.
That's still quite a big book for a kid.
Yeah, reasonably
yeah.
large. And I just remember I ploughed through it. I just read the whole thing in a day, and I went and got the second book, and I did the same thing with that one. It was just so fun, and that activation, just aside from all the neuroscience, all the benefits, all the stuff that helps you to build your attention span, it helps you to get you into your parasympathetic nervous system before you go to bed, it calms you down, all that stuff. If we get rid of all of that, right, which is obviously a thing we're going to talk about in a second, it was so fun, and it is so fun to there's something especially special about strengthening your ability to imagine a scenario, because I think especially in the world we live in at the moment, we have visuals for kind of crazy things all the time. If that's AI generated videos of weird animals or whatever, AI generated stuff, or film versions of books, just the ability to imagine how it is in your head first and imagine the characters, what they look like, how they speak, all that stuff is so powerful. And then I just think that's on its own is enough for a reason on its own to read.
I think so.
It's so fun. And you can go and watch the film and have a nice time with the film as well, or the TV show of it, because everything's been made into a TV show, which is cool as well. But there's something very different about the experience of reading it. And I know that I sound like my dad when I was younger. He used to say the book's better, Adam. The book's always better than the film. I was like, shut up, I want to watch the film. The film's easier, mate. But he's right. Dad, you're listening. You're right. I cop to it. It is better. The book is almost always better than the film, and
it's just more detailed.
It's more detailed, and
I'm a massive,
obviously
shock horror.
Do you like Harry Potter?
A little bit. The films, man. I love the films. Adore the films. Grew up watching the films. But now I'm reading the books in the age I am now. I don't know, man. It's just it's a whole different depth of world and experience.
Yeah.
And I always think of it as a polite form of escapism, a healthy form of escapism,
That's
because sometimes we can throw ourselves into gaming or films and TV, and that is a form of escapism. Of course it is. But there are different levels of positive escapism where you're letting your mind wander and network, allow it to spark and spiral, but in a healthy, controlled manner when you read. And just envisioning and seeing, and you're building skills. If you're a primary sort of student and age listening to this, you're building your ability to read, which is a very important skill for life.
Extremely important. Exactly, yeah. So let's get into some of the things that it strengthens, right? So it strengthens your attention, it strengthens your practice, it strengthens. There's something very, in some ways, unstimulating about a book, right? Books don't change. You have to physically kind of go down the page, reading both of both sides of it. It kind of activates a completely different part of your brain than a video game does, than a screen does, than even TV shows do. But that is extremely positive and very healthy for you, because it not only builds up your ability to imagine things, ability to, your mind-wandering networks kind of strength and ability to imagine these incredible scenarios in the book or whatever it is you're reading. It also builds up your attention span. It just generates your patience and your ability to, it just strengthens that neural architecture because reading is a very complicated thing for the brain to do, basically. It has to not only notice the words, then it has to understand the formation of the words, understand the meaning of that word, and then also put all that together into a kind of story and a narrative, and then imagine that thing playing out. If you break it down into the steps of it, there's a lot of cognitive processing happening when you're reading. So just doing that and practicing that every single day is something that you develop and get better at. And even from a personal note, I'm a little bit dyslexic. I'm not severely dyslexic, but especially when I'm stressed, especially when I just struggle with spelling enormously. I struggle with grammar, which is, if you look at any of my sentences, read the Substacks, you will find commas in places they shouldn't be. You will find A's and B's and capitalization in random places. I just don't know how to do it. I really struggle with that. One of the ways that I can manage that is if I read a lot, it means that a bit that kind of when the
imprinting on your
words
brain,
move
isn't it?
around a little bit, because that's what happens sometimes. I can't read a word because the B and the A are like they're floating. I can't describe it any other way than they're kind of around. When I read a lot, that skill is practiced, and I can actually read better in stressful situations as well. Which it does sound weird, but if other people with this will understand exactly what it feels like, but that's really helpful for me. And I fell out of reading for a while because when I was at university, I said this before, that I was just reading academic books. I was reading these very dense, science books about politics, and it was like I didn't want to read when I got back to my house. I was like, I've read enough today. I've literally read 50 pages of this dense, difficult to read, theory thesis thing, and I fell out of it. But one of the things I've really tried to work on this year is to build back a reading habit. So literally since I graduated in July, I've read 7 books so far. I'm trying to get through another one before the end of the year. Because the film comes out in the next year and I want to watch it. And I've had a great time. It's fantastic. And I've properly built a reading habit. Every single night before I go to bed, even when I'm out late, I read at least a page. And it's fantastic.
For sure.
I really enjoy it. And just that feeling of a bunch of different books, a bunch of different varieties of books. And every time you go into like Waterstones or a local independent bookshop or whatever, or T.G. Jones as it is now called, crazy. There's so many books I want to read. I want to read that one, I want to read that one, I want to read that one. It's like, it's almost overwhelming, but it's exciting because it's all you have to do is build that tiny little habit in just 15 minutes a day of reading, and you can get through so many books, and get through so many stories, so many ways of understanding the world. And I do think that some stories have genuinely changed my perspective on life. Like there's a book called The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, which I read, this is a few years ago now, before I went to university. Genuinely has changed my perspective on life. It is my favorite book ever, not because I think it's really well written. I really like Matt Haig as a writer, but just the story of it, the way to look at it means that you look at your life, or I found I look myself looking at my life in a different way after reading it. I can't think of another medium that can do that to you.
No.
I don't know. I just think that the power of that storytelling. So even aside from the neuroscience stuff, read, because it's amazing.
Perhaps it engages a level of self-reflection and it holds up a certain level of like, okay, well, I think empathy can be something that's harnessed through reading. You immerse yourself into someone else's story, and you feel their pain when they're going through a tough time in the book, and you feel their joy when they're going through. It's like to a heightened extent when you watch a film, when you like want these characters to do well and be happy, or you want this thing to work out. And in the books, it's the same. You want certain characters to just flourish because the way they get painted in the book is so wonderful, and there's such a human level of connection in those stories that I just think, it's a really nice way to be connected with how you think and feel about things.
For sure.
And I think just one of the main things about reading is that focus of attention you're talking about. How many of us, when we're watching the TV, are also on our phones?
It's like
just splitting our attention so many different ways.
And making a cup of tea at the same time as well.
Exactly. Just this ability, like we spoke about it, multitasking, be an absolute farcical thing to try and achieve. You're just doing loads of things half not very great, you know what I mean? So save myself there.
I think that's fine anyway.
Do you reckon?
I think you can say half-assed.
Half-assed. I'm cussing now. So it's just like sort of the ability to not split your attention, man. Just do one thing really well,
really
and then do the
brain.
next thing really well. Like focus of attention. And people will be listening to this going, I can't do that in my job. I have to be split this way, that way, and doing all these things. Fine. We understand that sometimes life isn't the perfect model. We have to deal with those challenges. But, we do have control over something like reading. So use that, because that will enhance and enable you to be stronger at your ability to focus in a better, stronger way at work or at school. It's a powerful thing, man. My dude. It's a powerful thing, and it's just wonderful, like you said.
It's brilliant. It's really, really good. And when we're talking to young people today, lots of them are basically saying they're not reading at all. Like outside of school, outside of the required readings, there's not much reading happening at all, which is, I feel like an old man, but that's upsetting. It's quite upsetting. It's quite an upsetting thing to hear, because kids these days, eh? Back in my day. No, but like, I just think it's upsetting because we now live in a space where there are more stimulating things, as we said earlier, that stuff. And basically, if you are a book battling against, even if you're the best book ever written, right, or whichever book you think that is, battling against, constant dopamine stimulation, constant, attention stimulation and stuff like that, like you're gonna lose that battle. It's like the healthiest food on the planet that tastes pretty good compared to some, ultra processed manufactured, thing. It's never going to taste as good because it's not designed to literally grab you and hold your attention and to taste as good in the food example. Like the competition is not there, but what we can do if we strengthen our our neocortex is to understand that often the harder thing is better for you, the more difficult thing is better for you. And if we are someone who is in a space where we don't read very much, probably one of the best things you can do for your overall future ability, patience, all that stuff is to start a reading habit, because it doesn't only strengthen your ability to read, right? Which obviously most people can do anyway. It also strengthens loads of other aspects of your brain, like your patience and your awareness, your attention, yeah, all that stuff. So read. Read, guys, read. So yeah.
Sorry for that. That was disgusting on the ears, probably. But for real, man, it's such a powerful, simple little adaptation we can make in our lives.
Yeah.
To sort out quite a lot of maybe potential problems that might arise later if we are not practicing the right things.
For sure.
All about practicing the right things every single day. Get those habits in the right place.
To run it back to this idea we talked about previously of the temporal self, like there's a lot of things we might want to do in the future, abilities we want to have in the future, emotionally want to be in the future. Like building in a reading habit today is one of the most powerful ways of basically getting to lots of places you want to do. Like it just strengthens all the right skills, all the right parts of your brain that are going to be really, really good for you. And the thing is, honestly, if you aren't a reader right now, someone who reads a lot, then you are probably going to struggle to start reading something straight away. Like you're probably going to struggle to start that habit, but it will pay out in a really, really profound way and you'll start to really enjoy it. So I think what we should do now is recommend some really good books for people who aren't readers right now.
Yeah.
That are pretty universal, that people will really, really enjoy if they were to start getting into it. Okay, so I'm going to do two categories, the adults and the kids.
Fine.
Okay, so for the adults, I'm going to say there's a book called Project Hail Mary, which is a film coming out next year with Ryan Gosling in it. There's 2 trailers out now. My dad is extremely excited about this film. The book is phenomenal. It is incredible. I can tell you this because my brother, who is not an avid reader, read it and destroyed it. Like he went through it so fast, and he's one of those people who doesn't read very much. He loved it. It is amazing. I don't want to say anything about the plot because there's a major spoiler that I can make. Don't watch the trailer for the film because the spoiler is in the trailer. Don't watch it.
What a rubbish idea that is.
It's annoying. Trailers are... Another episode about trailers, okay?
Yeah, just avoid them.
Avoid trailers. Unless you're in the cinema,
trailers,
in which case
man.
just close your eyes.
Yeah.
Anyway, read the book. It is
man.
amazing. Project Hail Mary. It's really, really good. Read that book.
Amazing. What a great recommendation. And for children?
And for children. I'll think about that whilst you give your...
Oh, let me think. Okay, so... This shows my actual hypocrisy where I'm not actually that well read. I've started the journey of reading more and more. Okay, this can be for children and adults, and it's no surprise what I'm going to say here. Honestly, if you haven't, and I don't know where you've been if you haven't, either watched the films or read the books, because some people haven't, and some people are like, I hate fantasy, I hate that sort of fantasy
I don't think of Harry Potter's fantasy, to be fair.
I feel sorry for those people. It makes me upset.
I don't like fantasy, but they're not fantasy.
Depress me. That's a horrible thing to say. You might as well slap me in the face. Man, I just think, just give them a go. See what you think. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's really not. And if you haven't read it and you've shut yourself off to it, maybe just give it a chance. Read The Philosopher's Stone. Give it a go.
Or The Sorcerer's Stone
if you're in America. Not quite international yet. There we go. So... but honestly, give it a go, and that's the same for kids as well. Probably books 1 through 3.
I think they're kids.
They're quite kid friendly as well. They get a bit darker as they go on, so that's up to parent discretion. If you want the kid to read Goblet of Fire,
by the time you've read the first 3 books, you'll
be old enough.
A couple of years old now.
Yeah, spot on.
They're big books.
Big heavy books.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, but that's my recommendation. And to be honest with you, things that are very. Clouded judgment from me because I'm massively into fantasy and sci-fi. So like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, amazing. Hunger Games books, wonderful. Just those sorts of things where that sort of dystopian fantasy, sort of a massive, powerful escapism for me, and I think it's a wonderful world to immerse myself in. So there are my recommendations. So Adam, take us home with your recommendations for the younger audience.
Yeah, when I say younger audience, I mean teenagers. I think when you're in school, there's like books with like different colours on them, like green, red, whatever, for reading levels. I don't know.
Roald Dahl books and stuff. If you're younger, if you're primary listening to Roald Dahl books, you would have heard of them.
Obviously, the books that your teachers are giving you are the perfect ones to read. So there will also be actually, when we've been in schools, they're reading this book that one called The Christmasaurus. I've never read it, but we've had some extracts when we've been going into classrooms, setting up our session. And it sounds fantastic. Sometimes I'm like, just keep going. I don't
really good message in that book. What I heard Miss talking about the other day, that she was reading an extract from it, and it was really powerful.
Yeah,
message.
It sounds so. Great. The Christmasaurus, obviously a bit thematic. It's coming up to Christmas now, so that sounds like a good book that kids are reading. Kids are being read to. That sounds good. So get that in your bookshelf. But I would also say I'm going to go ahead and say The Midnight Library. From my memory, it's been a couple of years now. There's nothing weird in it. But I just think it's the most. I thought it was a life-changing book for me. It's very simple. The way that Matt Haig writes is not convoluted. It's not overcomplicated. It's very kind of.
It's not alienating.
No, it's very simple. It doesn't mean it's not amazingly written, but some books are a bit densely written, which is good for those books. Like the book I'm reading right now is quite flowery in its writing, which is quite good. But it's less accessible, I would say, as well for newer readers. But The Midnight Library will change your perspective on life, I think. Love Nora, the main character. She's great.
There we go.
Or is she? Read the book to find out. Yes, that took a turn. Just become a reading episode. That was very nice.
I think we've done a lot of episodes where we're it's guidance based, it's scientifically based evidence and suggestions in how to implement certain strategies, and this is more of a open, honest, like our opinion based on scientific fact and evidence. But our opinion is obviously a massive thing in dictating how we suggest people implement some of this stuff. But
you can break the podcast episodes down into basically there's a scientific fact we're going to talk about, and then there's our opinion on top of it, right? The scientific fact is reading's really good for you. Okay, it's really good for strengthening your neocortex.
You can't argue with that. You can't. Do not argue with us.
Come at us. Argue. It's not going to work. I'll show you the papers. All right. I'll put them on screen. I won't do that right now, but I will put them on screen.
Science is unflappable.
I'm flapping right now.
There you go.
But then the opinions, like you might hate the books we've suggested. Fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
But there are books for you, person who doesn't like amazing books. What's wrong with you? But anyway, the scientific fact is there. So read, build a reading habit. You will thank us. You will thank your brain, and your future you will thank you for present you for reading now and today.
Summed up beautifully. Look after yourself, guys. Pleasure as always, and we look forward to speaking to you next week. Yeah.
See you next week.
Nice one.
See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.